I felt the shock of the airplane hitting the building, went through the building and then out into the area, and they were bringing bodies out that had been injured, most of which were alive and moving, but seriously injured. And a lot of volunteers were doing a terrific job helping to bring them out of the buildings and get them into stretchers and into ambulances and into airlifts.
Secretary, can you tell us how many of the dead were soldiers and how many were civilians? Have you been able to determine?
Absolutely not.
Mr. Secretary, today we saw military planes both in New York and in Washington. How much more of a military presence will we see now that this incident has occurred for the next week?
Those kinds of decisions are made day to day. It is correct that we had aircraft flying protective missions at various places in the United States today, and they will do that as appropriate.
Mr. Secretary, what do you say to the American people who may have questions on how something so coordinated has been carried out against this nation? What do you say to them who might not have confidence that our intelligence and our security are what they should be?
I say to them that the President of the United States will be making some remarks to them this evening that will address those subjects.
Mr. Secretary, you've declared, the Pentagon has declared threat con Delta forces around the world. Could you tell me why? Have you received any threats, or has anyone claimed credit for this?
We have, in fact, declared force protection condition Delta and a condition of high alert, indeed the highest alert. We did so almost immediately upon the attacks, and it is still in force.
Mr. Secretary, were there threats issued against other U.S. facilities elsewhere in the world today?
I don't know that there's a day that's gone by since I've been in this job that there haven't been threats somewhere in the world to some facility somewhere. It's one of the complexities of the intelligence business that you have to sort through those kinds of things, but we don't get into the specifics. Yes. You had your hand up? Yes.
So, Mr. Secretary, there were rumors earlier in the day that the plane which crashed in Pennsylvania had been brought down by the United States, either shot down or brought down in some other manner.
We have absolutely no information that any U.S. aircraft shot down any other aircraft today.
I wonder if we could just ask Senator Levin one thing.
You bet.
That's all right. Senator Levin, you and other Democrats in Congress have voiced fears that you simply don't have enough money for the large increase in defense the Pentagon is seeking, especially for missile defense, and you fear that you'll have to dip into the Social Security funds to pay for it. Does this kind of thing convince you that an emergency exists in this country to increase defense spending, to dip into Social Security if necessary, to pay for defense spending, increase defense spending?
One thing where the committee was unanimous on, among many, many other things, was that we authorized the full request of the President, including the $18 billion. So I would say that Democrats and Republicans have seen the need for the request.
Mr. Secretary, could you describe what steps are being taken, defensive measures beyond force protection, and whether there's been any operational planning for Homeland Defense been instituted?
Those aren't the kinds of things that one discusses.
Sir, the perpetrators of the Khobar Towers bombing were never found, the Cole bombing as well. What assurances or what confidence do you have that the perpetrators of this act will be found?
All one can offer by way of assurance is a seriousness of purpose. We're still taking bodies out of this building, so I would say that that's a little premature.
Mr. Secretary,
yes.
You've talked about, and others at the podium have talked about being ready, the military is ready, as General Shelton said. And we understand the Navy has dispatched 2 carriers and some guided missile cruisers and destroyers and a couple of Marine Corps helicopter amphibious ships such as the Baton, if not the Baton, here and to New York. Can you tell us if that's true, and also any other things you can share with us about how the United States military is preparing to take on whatever in the next few days?
Yeah, we don't make announcements about ship deployments.
Yes. Can you describe the firefighting efforts that are going on right now in that corridor and search and rescue efforts that are beginning?
Can I describe them?
Yeah.
Why don't we let the Secretary of the Army, who was out there with me a few minutes ago and has been talking to the incident commander on the site.
I think it's fair to say at this point that the fire is contained and will shortly, if not already, be sufficiently controlled to allow entry into the building. That entry will be supervised by the FBI, who are in charge of the site, assisted by the fire departments that are present. We, on the Army side, will support them as they go in the building and search for casualties and bring them out. Then we will support them in dealing with that. That's what's going on in the ground.
We'll take one last question.
Is the government operating under the assumption that this attack is done, or is it poised or bracing for more action?
The government is certainly aware that it's difficult to know when attacks are concluded. And I want to thank Chairman Levin and Senator Warner, and certainly Secretary of the Army White and General Shelton for being here with me. And we'll excuse ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
you. Ladies and gentlemen, a housekeeping issue, please. The President is about to come on and address the nation. So for those of you who wish to watch that, we'll see if we can bring that up here in the press room. Second, we're going to put up some 800 numbers. These are now all of the services 800 numbers for family members, for those individuals who were just simply not at work today to call in, and we'll try to get a muster. And last, for all of you, we will probably plan on heading back over to the gas station something like 30 minutes from now. And we'll be reasonable on that for as many stand-ups and whatnots and phone calls as you need to make in the interim. We ask you to please stick around in the correspondence corridor. Many of you are not credentialed, so please stick around the correspondence corridor. Thanks.
Tonight, what's the briefing schedule or information flow schedule for tonight?